my volume down on this thing just in case my iPad rings. Okay, good. I'm in mute everywhere. Good to go.
It's loading up on Facebook.
Okay.
And we're live, Randy. Randy Long.
Cool.
Long Business Advisors.
Yes, sir. You have me?
Yeah, Randy, I'm going to turn off my volume here because I'll get echo. Okay, I'm muted. There we go. So, Randy, my friend from Genius Network, we met several years ago, and you were just telling me, and I wanted everybody to hear this, you're where? At your $1 beach house?
I'm at my beach house at Topsail Island in North Carolina, on the southeast coast of North Carolina. Yeah. And so, I'm taking 10 days here. Smart business, right? Smart business owners take adequate vacations. So
you're such a wise man. That's why I like to hang out with you. So, Randy, we're going to talk about this business survey that we've put together in just a second. But first, I want to tee this up for the audience. Randy and I know each other from Joe Polish's Genius Network. I think we met, I don't know, Randy, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that we felt like in certain ways we're kindred spirits. I mean, we're not doing the same things, but we kind of overlap a little bit. So Randy, why don't you talk about, I think a lot of people who are going to be on our Facebook page are going to know what we do in the Lions Pride, but how does what you do kind of layer into what we do, and why is it relevant to everybody listening to this?
Yeah. So first of all, let me just say that we love the work that you and Robert are doing. I mean, the mission that you have, the execution that you render, and the advice that you give to the guys, we just fully endorse that, and we're really thankful for the friendship with you guys, and are really pleased to see the work that you're doing in these guys' lives. So it is a great mission to be able to take people through, the business owners through midlife, and grow their businesses and save their families, and give them an abundant life, if you will, mindset. So yep. I just love that. We typically we do 2 things. We say one of these that we do is we help business owners run their companies in such a way that they're always ready for a sale. And then secondly, we prepare the company for the business owner for a transition to the next generation or for sale, depending on, which, of course, there are different strategies depending on what they choose, but yep. And that can take, depending on the size and the complexity of the business, that can be, a year, or it can be 3 or 4 years or 5 years of work.
Yeah. And you've had some discussions, and we have an upcoming discussion with some of the guys in the Pride. One guy I remember last year, I think you met with them, and there's a transition coming, but it's down the road, father to son, and then this current conversation we'll have this month is a business owner who is targeting 5 to 7 years. So
right.
more localized. But Randy, one thing I wanted to say for all the guys who or gals who are watching this, who are business owners, and you're hearing sell the business, you're probably thinking like I did. Now, Randy, we've joked about this over a cold beer, because when my board told me back after I had just finished surviving, having no money and living on food stamps and stuff, and then we started to make money, my board said, now we need to think about selling the company. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. That was really good advice, because we feel like if your goal is to sell your company, or even frankly, if it's not, to be able to start running your company in such a way that it will bring a higher price if you decide to sell, or it'll be worth more money to your family, the revenue, the income, the way you run it, the ability to keep it within the family. Those are all things that are possible. I can't tell you how many people we will work with for a couple of years, and they think that they brought us in to prepare them for a third-party sale, and then the business gets put in such shape that we try to make them understand, look, this is an awesome business to keep within your family. Yep. We're running it in such a way that it allows you to have your own life and your own freedom, But at the same time, you have this expertise that can be transitioned down by generations. That intellectual capital, it is much more likely for a company to survive if it goes from parent to child than it is if your kid just goes out and starts his own business without any of that sort of generational capital being transferred. Follow that? Bill? Bill, do I have you?
Yeah, you got me back. Unstable Wi-Fi. Sorry, guys. If we blip out, it's just because Wi-Fi sometimes is terrible. But Randy, here's what I wanted to pile onto that. What I learned from my board, and at that time, I was just becoming wise enough to listen to other people. Before that, I was Superman. Mm-hmm. And then when Marvel Comics didn't need Superman anymore, they released me to the business world. See, so I had my stint as the guy who could do absolutely everything. I'm joking because I made so many bad mistakes. I finally decided I better listen to people. When my board told me that, I was new to business. I came from the military and then corporate America, and now I'm in small business, entrepreneurs, barely surviving by the skin of my fingernails. I learned from those wise people that you build just a better darn business when you build it on the benefit of an investor or a buyer. Right. Because you're going to do all those things that build A-level businesses.
That's right.
You just may not sell the business. So it's perfectly fine for a guy to tell me, well, I'm not even thinking of selling. I know you're not. That's fine. Yeah. Let's build a better business.
Yeah, that's okay. So whether or not you decide to sell or keep it, we have to get the business owner to look at his business in a different way with a different set of glasses. He's got to look at that company as though he's looking through the eyes of a buyer, so that he'll start to think like, what would a buyer want? Well, he understands that capital is a coward. And when we know that capital is a coward and that buyers want to buy what they consider to be safer businesses to the extent possible, with all the risks eliminated that they can get rid of. And so if he's building that business in such a way that that he's making it run independent of himself on a day-to-day basis, if possible. I know that's a reach for some people, but eventually the closer we can get them to that, the more the business will be worth to a buyer, because a buyer is a little more scared to buy a business where the business owner is really, really, really necessary in the day-to-day running of the business. That it's more of a job really than it is a company that way. Yeah. So we want them to get to the point where they're spending they have time to think and to work on the business instead of just in it. And too often that business owner is just stuck with their heads down in the weeds, and they're trying to put fires out everywhere and keep the troops motivated and all those pieces of things which are important, but they're not the kinds of things that will give us multiples that we need on a sale.
Right. So Randy, let's get down to it. That kind of tees up why you and I started talking last year about creating some sort of assessment or a survey where a business owner could actually get a score. So let's say it's 0 to 100. If you were sitting with them, or if I was sitting with them, and we looked at the paper and it said 18, we would say a different thing than if it said 88.
We would.
In other words, 88 is, dude, you are running an awesome business. If you're thinking of selling, you're going to get a premium price on your terms, on your timeline. And if you're at an 18, we're going, we got a lot of work to do. And you're probably not very happy because you're not making a lot of money. You're struggling, blah, blah, blah. So we've been working, maybe about a year on this. Mm-hmm. And I think with the help of your rock star ninja that you call daughter, I call ninja. And who else worked on it? Nathan worked on it?
Nathan and Ellen and I are the ones that worked on it primarily. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's evolving, guys, but it's going to be available here very, very soon. And we'll offer it here at the Pride. Randy's going to offer it over there at Long Business Advisors. But talk through a little bit on how we came up with the questions. I'll layer in the questions that I added in, but you gave it a great framework from the start, coming from your many decades of experience working with business owners.
Yeah, so we basically kind of broke down business readiness into different kinds of categories, and then from those categories, we worked on questions basically that we thought that would help give insight to the business owner and to be able to kind of see. It's not really a checklist, but it is definitely, like it shows little, flashing red lights or yellow lights or green lights, frankly, that they're going to see as they go through this to make them understand, I'm doing this well, I'm doing this not as well, and this one I haven't even thought of yet, Yep. So we want it to be a great learning tool for them. Mm-hmm. And not that, it's nothing is an end all be all. Everything has got to evolve over time because things change and such. But the concept here is for everybody to understand that we're striving towards goals, and these give us ideas about how to identify the right goals to be striving for. Some of the things they won't have thought of, like I said, some of the things they are knocking out of the park already. But, like as an example, one of the things that we will typically do when we're working with the client is we'll work through a legal audit. And I can't tell you how many companies have focused themselves on operations and growing the company, but they haven't sort of backfilled the legal defense part of the business to protect them from liability issues, to make sure that they actually have secured and own and have protected their IP. This is a big deal. So
you'd work your whole life for something. You'd work your butt off. You'd have this nest egg here, and because you left the door open over here to a legal challenge of some sort, somebody could come in and take away your gold.
Yeah, or at least take a portion of your future. Like as an example, one of my clients, I just had lunch with him not too long ago, and we were working on this, getting them through this. Well, in our audit here, the legal audit procedure, we found out that they had not protected the name of the company outside of the state.
What?
So they had protection of the state on the company name, but there was somebody else that had already trademarked / copyrighted, depending on what field we're in here, the name rights for the country. So now, because this is a company we're going to be expanding out into other, it's a good sized company, probably, I don't know, maybe $100 million worth company. So it's a decent company that's growing also. And they're going to be expanding, I'm pretty sure, into other states. But when they go in those other states, they won't be using their name. We have to come up with another one. So I just run across these things all the time. And I'm also super hyper interested in this because one of my clients actually is an IP firm. They're an intellectual property law firm is one of my clients that I've been working with for about 3 years now. Not sure if you're still with me, if you're slow or if I'm live, but we've been working with this company for about 3 years, and we have really impacted the revenue is doubled, and the number of lawyers has doubled, and the company's growing, and they're focusing on markets. Can you hear me when I'm talking? Okay.
Andy, what I wanted to say really quick was, last week at Genius Network, I was sitting next to one of our really successful fellow Genius Networkers.
Yeah.
Who has a partner who now wants to leave the business. I mean, we're talking about an $80 million, $100 million business. Mm-hmm. And I went, for me, I'm not an attorney like you. I don't have the radar you do, but I've been through that. And so I immediately go, buy-sell agreement.
Right.
And I said, what does your buy-sell agreement stipulate on how you're going to buy them out? He says, oh, dude, we never did that. He said, we started this at the kitchen table. We never planned on success. And so now we're here and he needs to leave and I need to buy him out and we don't have a formula and we can't agree on it. And we're 1 year into this. And I'm like, what? All right. Enough on that, because what I want to do is I want to talk. I was just looking, I had sent Ellen some categories yesterday, suggestions, but let me run through them really quick and see if you would either add, subtract, or agree. So I divided, we've got about 50 questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said state of the business, like what are you doing? How are you organized? How many employees do you have and all that sort of stuff? How do you hire? What's your gross profit margin? What was your revenue? Just the state of the business.
Right.
Then I thought, well, heck, what about growing the business? How are you improving cash flow are you building, you had a good question. Are you building a leadership management team that can run the business without you?
Right.
Could you immediately double the number of customers you sell to if they showed up at your door, cash in hand, ready to buy?
Right.
How about protecting the business was a category that
Yeah.
you had some great questions there because of your experience. I had selling the business and you had some good ones. Have you decided on the date of your exit? Have you decided on the terms, the price? Do you know the value of your market value of your business? And then the last one I added was protecting and providing for your family. So apart from protecting your business, I thought you had some great questions in there about protecting your family. In case you had one there. If you were suddenly and tragically killed or disabled, what would happen to your family? Or do you know what would happen to your family? Those were some good questions, I thought. So those were would you add or subtract or amend any of those categories?
Well, I would just say that as we're doing this business planning stuff, the big point that you're making here, which is why we tried to kind of squeeze that in and pull it back in, is that if we're not doing the preparation at the family level together with the preparation of the business, then one of the other of those weak places is going to suffer if there is tragedy or death or disability or loss of key employees, all the things, because remember, the net worth of our business owners tends to be about 70 to 90% of their net worth tends to be in that business. So if the business isn't protected, the future of the family is impacted for sure. And then or they're both impacted at the same time. So if the owner dies and he is integral to the business, and I open my book with this, as a matter of fact, it's the first chapter in my book.
And we're going to talk about your book in just a second, because I want everybody watching this and everybody to watch it in the future to get a copy of that book. I've handed out probably 10 copies so far, but in your book, you say.
Yeah, in my book, I lead with a story about a guy that was too busy to do his planning. And because he was, the company was at like 25 million gross sales. I mean, he was growing a great company. He was busy. We tried to slow him down and let us actually do some planning and make sure that he had defense in place as well as good offense. And a lot of business owners don't want to do the defense part. And I can tell you from my experience, that is a major mistake, because they are likely to lose the company, to lose the company's value for the sake of their family, or to have the family end up in litigation or conflict because nothing is clear, the defense isn't in place, and everybody thinks, and we're entrepreneurs are really guilty of this, that we think about only the future being bright because we're optimists, right?
We're hoping for the best, never planning for the worst.
That's right. That's right. But the impact to your family, I always tell the guys, if they're single, I was like, I don't care if you don't play defense other than the fact that you're going to hurt your employees. So if you don't care about your employees, that's fine. But if you have kids and you're not going to play defense with us, then we will fire you. We won't work with the people, because I've worked on way too many cases on the other side of this where the guys didn't do the work. I have one of these cases right now that I'm trying to save with the guy that died. He's got 3 kids and there's conflict about where the business is going. Fortunately, the business isn't at risk, but he's unnecessarily inserted conflict into the business, and as such, because he didn't do his planning, and therefore there's conflict within the sons. And that shouldn't have been. We could have eliminated that if we done planning. So it's sad, and the mom's, she's just stressed over it because she doesn't, So how it is.
Well, Randy, let's kind of wrap this up. I want to wrap it up maybe in 2 ways. I want to talk about your book last, and how people can, how listeners can get in touch with, or viewers can get in touch with you. I think that's important. But here's what I want to say. See if you agree with this. What we're proposing to you is that you take this survey. There's no obligation. You're going to get a score, and it's going to tell you on the compendium. What would you call that? On the 0 to 100
scale.
scale
of
of
0 to
companies
100.
that we've worked with,
Mhm.
all right, we're going to be able to tell you, man, you got a lot of work to do. You're in trouble, or
Yeah.
you're on easy street, or whatever. You'll get a
Yeah.
score. And then you can take this annually. Go
Yeah.
do some work. In other words, on every category, you're not going to be a 100.
Right.
On the average, you might be a 90, but maybe
Yeah.
you've got a 20 in there that you need to work on. Now, we'll give you resources and we'll point you to resources. Randy's a resource. I'm a resource if you want to use us, but we'll give you resources. We're available to you as resources. When you see your scores, your sub scores and your aggregate score, you're going to know where you need to work on your business. And I don't mean in your business, answering phones and packing boxes and all that. I mean working on it.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
want them, right, Randy?
Yeah.
We want them to take the survey. We want them to focus in on improving their business where it is and use us as resources. Yeah, if they like us.
Right, if they need us. Right, but it should be a good educational tool for them.
Good.
And sort of a mental checklist about the things that they maybe have overlooked while they're trying to grow the company.
Good.
Or trying to deal with difficult circumstances on some other front. But
Totally.
business owners just need to be really balanced in their approach to how they do this. And to the extent that they don't consider the balance in doing this well, it can turn out to bite them pretty hard.
So Randy, let's wrap up with your book.
Mm-hmm. So the book is called The Braveheart Exit,
Yep.
7 Steps to Your Family Business Legacy. And it's on Amazon. It's
All right,
done
The
well on
Braveheart
Amazon.
Exit by Randy Long.
By Randy Long, yes. Randy M. Long it is, but
M. Long.
yeah, but the book's done fairly well, and I've gotten lots of good comments from it. Even did a TV show 2 weeks ago down in Florida because of it. Did four. I think there were 4 sessions we did, 4 episodes. So it
So
started.
now you got the book. You got a beeline to this guy right here. You want this guy at least on the phone with you once or twice. You got the business survey so that you can literally score your business. Quit wondering how you're doing out there. Know definitively how you're doing compared to other businesses like yours. Come on in here, join the Lions Pride. We've got a productivity challenge going on, 30 days to ninja level productivity. That's on our website, thelionspride.com. Randy, I think we'll wrap up. Great hanging out with you. I will take you up on that invitation to take the east wing of the beach house.
You should. It is a pretty place. So email address, website for us is longbusinessadvisors.com. I forgot to mention that earlier, but that's all.
Longbusinessadvisors.com. Randy M. Long, Esquire. He's got a lot of commas and initials after his name. He's got more tattoos than I know what to do with. Hey, Randy, good to hang out with you. Thanks for that valuable information. And let's get that survey out and ready to rock and roll for both of us.
We'll have it done really soon here, almost finished. Thank you. Talk to you later, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.